Hello and welcome to Let's Review. So, after last week I've taken a little bit of time and an awful lot of painkillers, and I'm happy to say that I have calmed down a bit. So this week I actually want to talk about something that I like. Now, I've talked about Warhammer 40,000 in the past, most notably during the Space Hulk reviews. What? No, not now, okay? Okay, maybe later. Sorry about him, he's been positively chipper ever since he heard I was doing this one. And that differs from his usual behaviour how, exactly? Well, yeah, it kinda doesn't. Anyway, I should get back on topic, which means I need to bring up this! As we once again go digging in the crate. As I was saying, I've talked about the 40k universe before, but I've never really talked about the game that got me into it, and that was Dawn of War. Well, strictly speaking, it was Dawn of War and its first expansion, Winter Assault, because, well, I bought them at the same time. The first game centres on the Blood Ravens' Third Company, under the command of Gabriel Angelos, deployed to the planet Tartarus to repel an Orc war and aid in the evacuation of the planet before a warp storm consumes it. Needless to say, things do not go exactly to plan, and the Blood Ravens end up drawn into conflict with both the Eldar and the forces of Chaos. And let me guess, the reveal of each race is staggered so as to allow you to get used to each in turn? Yep, and it is one of the best introductions to a large universe that I have ever seen. The characters will drop references to things from the larger universe without explaining them, but they're usually things that you can figure out logically for yourself. For example, when an Inquisitor turns up, no one ever actually explains to you what an Inquisitor is, but their reactions to his appearance make it pretty clear how they feel. It's also worth noting that Gabriel has been recently traumatized by events prior to the game, and the reveal of what actually happened is spread out over the course of the game, and an excellent job is done of it. Dawn of War is very much Gabriel's story, as it's the story of a man seeking redemption for his past crimes, as well as also being the story of large armies shooting the hell out of each other. But it is a story about that as well. Well, obviously, it has four of the biggest players in the 40k universe on one planet. Needless to say, violence does ensue. Dawn of War was an excellent strategy game. It was probably the first game to really nail the feeling of the tabletop, and all the unit designs were lovingly pulled straight from the miniatures. You couldn't ask for a more faithful adaptation of the tone of the universe, and Dawn of War was hugely successful as a result. So much so that plans were very quickly put in place for an expansion pack, which would add in the Imperial Guard. And that expansion was Winter Assault. Am I correct in believing that that is the only game in the series that does not feature the Blood Ravens? You are correct. With the exception of this game, the Dawn of War series really can be considered the story of one specific chapter of Space Marines, but I'm getting a little ahead of myself. Winter Assault focuses primarily on the Imperial Guard, who have been sent to the icy world of Lorn 5, because, as science fiction has taught us, other planets only ever have one type of ecosystem. The reason for their mission is to reclaim the planet and find and recover the remains of an Imperator-class Titan. Imperator class? Yeah, for anyone who's not a 40k fan, I should probably explain what I'm actually talking about. Titans are the biggest, baddest war machines in the entire 40k universe, and Imperator class Titans are the biggest of them all. To put this into context, the final level of the entire campaign is set on top of the Titan's ruins. This thing has shoulder pads bigger than anything you can build, and the most powerful weapon that you get access to in the game is a half dozen of this thing's minor hull defense weapons, which can kill pretty much anything you point them at in one clean hit. Which is, of course, why everyone wants the Titan for their own. Bingo! There are actually two campaigns, Order and Chaos, the former focusing on the Imperial Guard and the Eldar, and the latter focusing on the Orcs and the Chaos Space Marines. But interestingly, there are actually 4 final missions, each one for one of the 4 player races, and which one you play as is determined by your actions in the previous mission. Overall, the campaigns are pretty good, and the final mission actually contains a rather interesting surprise, which I'm not going to spoil here, but I will say is very well executed, and actually served as a very good teaser for the next expansion pack, Dark Crusade. Ah yes, where the wheels begin to fall off. Really? Most people seem to think that Dark Crusade is the best. And are you one of those people? Yeah, no, I'm not. You take my point then. Yeah, alright. Dark Crusade was significantly less story-focused than the first two games. It gave you the world map of the planet Kronos, and allowed you to pick which race you wanted to play as, from the 5 we already had, plus the Necrons and the Tau. Most of the battles were standard skirmishes, but there were special missions, such as the Strongholds, which were all very well designed, very unique, very interesting, and featured a lot of interesting dialogue, usually with the two commanders smack-talking each other as they fought. Now, while these missions worked, I think the game had one major problem. It gave you all the toys too early. And why is that an issue? Because you can be deploying Baneblades, Bloodthirsters, and bloody Monoliths in the first mission, and after that, where do you go from there? I think the game needed a... well, research is the wrong word for the 40k universe, but you know what I mean. It needed a way of gating the better units so that you gained them throughout the game and you could get stronger as you went on. That would also make some of the early Stronghold missions really interesting, as you had to judge which was going to be the most difficult and which we'd have to leave till later so that you could have the flashier toys to deal with it. Overall, Dark Crusade is still very good, even with the problems I have with it. But there was one more expansion still to come. Soulstorm. Ah yes, the one that everyone hates. Not everybody, I mean, some people like it. Oh no. Yeah, I actually think I prefer it to Dark Crusade. Here's the thing, there are bits of Soulstorm that are a bit of a mess. With the addition of the Sisters of Battle and the Dark Eldar, we now have 9 playable races, which means everything's a bit of a cluster mess. But I do kind of like the new factions, and although it makes the same mistake as Dark Crusade, it does have one major new addition. Flying units. Did not most players claim that they broke the game? Oh yeah, and that's why I liked them. They were great for screwing up the level designer's work. In one case, you can take a group of flyers, circle them around the entire map, bring them into bombardment range of the enemy stronghold, blow it to bits, without the enemy being able to do a damn thing about it. It's completely broken, and it's really damn funny. Your sense of humour is very strange. You're only just figuring this out now. Soulstorm definitely has more problems than Dark Crusade, but it's still really fun, really enjoyable, and definitely worth playing. And in fact, the whole Dawn of War series is. You can pick up all 4 games for around about 30 quid, and I would absolutely recommend you do that. If you're a 40k fan, well, you probably already own copies. And if you're not, this is the best jumping off point to the universe that I think you could ask for. Eventually, Dawn of War did get a full-on sequel, Dawn of War 2, which I think I'm going to talk about another time. Now, if you'll... Hang on one moment. Yeah? Spot did not get his cameo, and you know what he will be like if he does not. You make a very good point. Spot! Here, boy! Okay, so, what was it you wanted? That was it? I do not understand that dog sometimes. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to go pet my dog a bit. I'll see you later.